Take a girl and a guy, and they fall madly in love and form a family. Sprinkle in some counseling degrees and a doctorate, a dream of transforming relationships as we know it. And 20 years later, we give you power couple Dr. Ray and Jean Kadkodian. And this is their podcast, Couples Synergy.
And welcome to a special edition episode of Couple Synergy with Dr. Ray and Jean. Hi, I am Dr. Ray.
And I'm Jean. And this is our podcast about love, marriage, and relationships.
Please check us out online at couplesynergy.com or on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter at Couple Synergy. Please subscribe to our podcast, leave us a review, or send us any suggestions on topics you'd like to hear more about. And now on to Couple Synergy, an in-depth look at love, marriage, and relationships, where we bring you our experience helping thousands of couples transform their relationships for over 25 years.
You know, everyone says you should work on your relationship, but nobody teaches us how. So we've created this podcast to teach people what they can do to create the relationship they've always dreamed of
with the partner they fell in love with. On today's special episode, you all are probably knowing at this point that it's a special episode because it is airing on Sunday instead of Monday, and this is Mother's Day. And we wanted to really put out a special tribute episode for all the mothers out there, and especially our mothers. And also, this is a special day for us, too, because we have recently become grandparents, if you guys are listening for the first time. And, Jean, you are a first-time grandma, or Gemma.
Gemma.
Sorry, I'm not going to use the word grandma.
And also a special day for Angela, our daughter-in-law. It's her first Mother's Day.
It's her first Mother's Day, who we have interviewed on this episode, along with our mothers as well.
I just want to say we had no control over these interviews.
We have lost control.
And originally we were going to highlight our moms first and then our daughter and daughter.
I have to say specifically, I mean, we're talking about my mother, okay, and my father jumping in. So when you get to my mother's episode, I just have to apologize. It was train had
I don't think
derailed.
You need to apologize. I think it's fabulous. I think you guys will absolutely enjoy it. Keep in mind that especially our moms, they're not used to doing this, so you know there's a little nerves, and they forgot a lot of things that happened over the years. And one of the things that my mom just texted me on when we asked her, you know, what are some of the worst things about being a mom, and she said losing her child. Which
she did not mention on the interview.
Because she was nervous and stuff. So that's a big thing, and that I don't want to not leave that out there.
No, right.
You know, it'll be her second year without him.
Yeah, you know, being a mother is a very special thing, and I think that we don't cherish it enough or give credence to it enough, and you know, we wanted to really do that with this podcast. Yes, please keep in mind that, you know, my mother and Jean's mother are up there, elderly. Would you say elder? Yeah.
Both over 80.
Right?
80 plus, that's all we'll say.
I think we'll keep just a little bit of the trying to talk my mother through Zoom.
The technology
difficulty part in the beginning.
I'm sure all of you can relate to that.
Yes. So, you know, for all you mothers out there, we really want to say thank you. We have a lot of gratitude and, you know, a lot of well wishes for all of you out there, especially those mothers that may have struggled through a lot in becoming a mother and maybe, you know, losing a child, and all of the challenges and joys that go along with motherhood.
And also for the women who wanted to be mothers and were unable to.
Since we are talking about mothers, I wanted to ask you, Jean, you know, tell us a story about becoming a mother for the first time.
You know, you just said something really interesting about that we don't really recognize our mothers very much. And the reason for that is, you know, the mother archetype is unconditional love, which means you're going to feed your child whether they're having a tantrum or being sweet and loving. So no matter what, right? And so I think as human beings, we just expect our mothers to do right by us. And we really don't take enough time to really look at what that means. And there's a lot of selflessness and long nights and hard, thankless work to be a mom. It's different than a dad.
For sure.
And there's very contributing dads, and I don't want to take away from that, but that is, I think certainly we've never really paused enough to have enough gratitude for our mothers and for the work of motherhood. All right, what was your question? Sorry.
So why don't you tell us a story of how you learned you were pregnant?
Well, I was in the basement of my parents' home. I was 20 years old, and there was a phone down there. And I went down there to call the doctor's office to get the results of my pregnancy test. And I was young, and I was not married, and was in the dark. And I heard the words, and I could feel the person on the other end of the line. And when they were trying to congratulate me, there was a question mark. And it was unexpected and unplanned. And it was maybe one of the more difficult things I went through in my life.
What did you feel about being pregnant?
I think shock. Shock was probably the biggest thing. And I remember almost instantly feeling protective of that life. You know, and certainly people had mentioned, terminating. And for me, that was never an option. It was almost instant that I had that motherly feeling of protecting that baby.
And how did you know that you were in labor?
So I had gone out to dinner, and then I got a Slurpee.
A 7-Eleven Slurpee?
7-Eleven Slurpee, a pink one. And I heard a sound like a water balloon being thrown at a wall. And it was my water bag breaking. It was 6 weeks before my due date. And I just instinctively jumped up from where I was sitting, opened a door, and went into this hallway. Because the hallway was tile and the other room was carpet. And the gush. And then I proceeded to throw up the pink stuff all over it.
Oh, no.
In the same spot. So that was kind of a joke my dad would always say. Mauve was the color that year. It was gray and mauve in the 80s, and it was mauve.
So what was the time, date, and weight of your first child?
It was December 13th, 1987, 12:27 in the morning, and he was 5 pounds, 8 ounces.
And do you remember the time, date, and weight of your second child?
August 4th, 4:53 p.m., and he was 6 pounds, 8 ounces.
So how did you decide on a name?
Well, the first one was interesting because I had all these ideas of like Casey and Oscar and I don't know, these obscure names, which I found out later were family names that I must have heard along the way. And nothing really fit. And he was born and I really couldn't decide. And he was 2 days old. And one of the thoughts I had a lot was Alexander. But my last name then was Zender, so Alexander Zender was kind of a mouthful. I really liked the name Theodore, but his dad didn't like that name. So we ended up with Alec Theodore, and then his biological dad's Jewish, so the tradition in that culture is to name your child by the initial of a family member who's passed. So in that family, Uncle Dick had just passed. I wasn't really very connected to that family. I was a single mom, we not a lot of connection. But in order to honor that, I decided to hyphenate his middle name So his name was a big handful. It was Alec Theodore David Zender. And then I believe at some point in his life, he shortened that to TD Zender, Alec TD Zender.
And what do you know now about being a mom that you didn't know when you were pregnant? Both times.
Well, with Alec, when I was pregnant, I knew there was going to be diapers and sleepless nights and, a lot of self-sacrifice while I was pregnant. What I didn't know was how much I was going to love him and how much that wouldn't matter.
Mm.
And as a single mom, it's a very different journey. And, when we got pregnant with Dinyar, I thought it was going to be very different because we were in love, we were together, we were both in this. And then when we went into labor, and it was just maybe worse. Alex's birth was pretty bad. Dean's, I think, was probably worse. And that was really shocking to me, that I always thought maybe as a single mom that I was maybe more being punished, or that was the reason it was so hard and painful. But to know I was on this other side where I was in love and I wanted this child, and it still sucked.
In your defense, we were up pretty late the night before. I think we had to go feed the cat or something because my parents were away.
Well, and I had an undiagnosed thyroid disorder, which,
right.
That was all part of it as well. But that was kind of surprising to me that, I really thought being married and being in this with someone would change that.
Change your labor and delivery?
Yeah, it didn't go so well. Yeah. And, if we're going to talk about names, our son Dinyar, he's named after your grandfather,
Mm-hmm.
and his name means friend of spirituality.
In Farsi.
In Farsi.
Right.
And then he has your middle name, which is very traditional. In your family, you have your father's middle name.
Which my father and mother talk about
Yes.
in their segment.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give your daughters?
Trust yourself. There's so much false information in the world and so many books written on parenting, and I just think it makes women feel horrible about who they are. And I would just say every single book that's out there is true for the woman who wrote it about her child, but it isn't true for yours. And that includes the medical field. What one doctor says is going to conflict with what another doctor says, and you are going to get so much advice, and you have this beautiful biology and instinct inside of you that you will know what to do for your child, and trust yourself.
Happy Mother's Day, Jean.
Thank you.
Happy Gemma Day, too.
That's a good one.
Yeah. And without further ado, we bring you our second interview. And as part of our tribute to Mother's Day, we welcome our daughter-in-law, Angela, who is
granddaughter.
a new mother. This is her
Yeah.
first Mother's Day. Welcome, Angie, to the podcast.
Thank you. It is great to be back. And I am holding my beautiful daughter, Ainsley, who is over 4 months old now.
Well, happy Mother's Day.
Happy.
Thank you.
So tell us the story of how you learned you were pregnant.
Well, it was a year and a day ago, actually, that in the morning, I had taken a pregnancy test and I found I was pregnant, and I was pretty speechless. And then I was thinking, like, in 10 seconds, how do I tell my husband? Because he was at home. And so I just went with something, and I don't remember all of it, but I started with "I love you." and I had a big smile on my face. And then I told him I was pregnant.
How did he respond?
He was happy. And with that happiness, it seemed like really nervous too. You know?
What were some of the first thoughts you had in your head, like before you knew for sure, that prompted you to take a pregnancy test, and then after you found out for sure it was positive?
Well, I probably didn't have too many thoughts. I had been taking pregnancy tests for a while, and so it definitely wasn't the first one I had taken. And so with so many negative ones, I did the thing that most of us do. You don't get your hopes up, and I even waited longer than I would have in the past, to take it. Right. And so it was just, let's see. I wasn't nervous or too excited, right? But then it was such a pleasant surprise.
And how long did it take you to kind of adjust to that news being real?
Maybe a couple of days, maybe while we started telling people that day. And so, yeah, maybe by the end of the day.
So that's interesting that you started telling people that day, because a lot of women wait.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a window, a period of time where, it might not take. So why did you choose to do that?
Because we were so excited. And, I would say that pregnancy test being positive told us that it was real, right? That she, a baby, at the time existed. And so I didn't want to keep that news to ourselves because it's just so exciting. And I think in, any kind of nerves I had about that didn't outweigh the excitement. And so we didn't tell everyone. I might have told everyone, I might have wanted to at the time, but it's two of us, me and my husband. So then we had to decide together. But we told, people who are close to us, like we told our parents that day and our siblings. Oh, and actually I was traveling the next day. So I was going to see some people in person. So I told some people in person. And on the first day, when, when we found out we weren't around any relatives. So we drove to our best friend's house and we told them in person so we could have someone to tell and hug.
I remember being very nervous, and I really didn't let myself really let it sink in that we were going to be grandparents till really she was born.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't want to buy anything. I didn't want to, I don't know. I was nervous. How about you?
I was just thinking, is there a grandmother day?
No.
So you're celebrating Mother's Day and Grandmother Day.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, yeah, I mean, for me, I just kind of tried to stay positive and, and be like, this is great news, and stay there, and it was shocking news, but happy news.
Yes.
And, Jean, where do you think those nerves came from for you?
I know a lot of people with a lot of loss, and I was
Mm-hmm.
not wanting to watch you guys go through that.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you feel about being pregnant?
I felt good. Was very happy about it.
But like the pregnancy itself, like just the physical part of being pregnant.
Yeah. It was pretty good. Someone told me, someone who's very close to me, who doesn't mind speaking her mind, a mother in my life. She said, pregnancy did not agree with you. And so that was her perspective, right? And I think she was pointing to how maybe the second half, I would sort of get sick a lot, and and then during labor it was, of course, quite uncomfortable. But other than that, we don't remember. We're not very good at remembering things that are painful, right? Not very good at it. So I would say it was still pretty good. I mean, I would do it all over again, knowing, of course, that it's gonna be different because it would be a different time in my life and it would be a different child. But I was, okay with it, happy to take the very uncomfortable things because they were momentary. Does that make sense? They were temporary.
Yeah, I remember that about you, and I did get to witness some of the not so fun things you went through. And you always had a very positive attitude, and you always said, you're doing great and everything, even though it wasn't always great, but you always came across that way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, I just heard about a lot of stuff and I'm trying to forget.
And what we're referencing, I think, is like vomiting, right?
I'm not going to out you, Ange, but
Lots of that.
you probably vomit more than any human I've ever known.
The one that stands out the most.
That's all of college collectively too.
The one that stands out the most is we were in Sweden and the sun was setting about 11:30 at night and rising about 1 a.m. And we're watching this lovely event and you're in the bathroom just throwing up. I felt so bad. Do you remember that?
Well, I just remember Norway when we were walking past the dock. There was this restaurant, seafood restaurant. We walked past the dumpster and it was just this whiff of rotting garbage. And she was like, it was like, wow. Okay.
How did you know you were in labor?
Okay. So mine was, I went in for my one of my doctor's appointments, and they took my blood pressure, as they always do.
Hey, let's set this up here. Okay. Because
yes, you set up the labor.
How about this? How about the pre-labor, right?
Yes.
You were going in for a routine appointment. And we were flying in to DC and like that at that time.
At the same time. Right. We landed like during her doctor's appointment.
And we were going to go to your house and kind of wait there and watch the dog and stuff until you guys were done with the appointment.
To celebrate New Year's Eve. Right. With my family flying in too. So then from there, Ange, what happens at your doctor's appointment?
Well, so I'll add the other side of that day is, our plan was we're going to go to this appointment and then we're going to stop at their grocery store to get the rest of the things we needed for hosting you all, for those few days. And then we were going to meet you at the house and we were going to get this party started, right? Okay, so at the appointment, my doctor was sort of busy. There was something else going on that was more of a priority, and they knew my blood pressure was high, and so I had to wait anyway. So we waited about half an hour, and I'm sitting in the room by myself. Alec didn't come in with me. He was probably taking that time to get some running around, so he was just going to wait for me. And then they take my blood pressure again, and it's still wicked high. And then finally the doctor comes in. So this was probably about an hour I was there, and says, it's still high. You should go get it checked out. Go get some tests done at the hospital. Well, our hospital, they weren't accepting any more patients for the maternity ward. And then their like Plan B hospital was also full. So they sent us to Plan C. So I'm very nervous, right? It's just, oh my gosh, I got to go to the hospital. What's going to happen, right? And I knew my husband would be nervous, which he was, but he was still really good, at holding it together. So we go to the hospital, and maybe you all had landed by then, and so we tell you where we are, and I'm feeling much better, and I'm thinking about what I'm going to have for dinner, right? And then some time goes by, and they say, well, it's still high. You have gestational hypertension, and we always suggest delivering 37 weeks or after, and you're 37 weeks today, so we're going to induce you. And so that's, I guess, how I knew that I was going to go into labor. And I started crying because all of this was happening. And I said something like, I can't believe I'm going to have a baby. I can't believe it's going to happen way sooner than I thought it would. And then we went from there.
Yeah. That was pretty nerve-wracking on the other end.
This is several days before she actually is born.
Just two. She was born about 48 hours later, less than that.
So what happens after all that? Do they admit you?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And they induce me, and then, meaning labor starts, and then she was born. So that was about a day and a half later.
So you were in labor for how many hours?
The things I don't, well, I guess a day and a half, how many hours that is. And, I don't want to go into details about that because, with people I'm close to, I do, right? And I don't mind when people who are having babies ask me. But the other thing that I risk by telling it, especially to people I don't know who I can't answer follow-up questions for, is that, they're going to get nervous, right? It's just the unique story to me. And it's totally different for someone else. Even if they had the same things happen, let's say the high blood pressure and the induction and all that, I know they're going to handle it differently. And so
what was the time and date and weight of the baby?
She was born at 3:33 a.m., I believe, on a Friday morning. And she was 6 pounds and 6 ounces.
And how did you decide on a name?
That one, we gave her the name the day she was born, but we were thinking ahead of time, and Alec really liked the name Ainsley, as I did as well. And he has more to say about how he came up with his name. So maybe one day, he'll be on and talk about that. But Ainsley is also a name that starts with an A. So we're all A's
in your family. How about Hope?
Hope. Well, we knew we wanted a middle name that started with an H in order to honor Alec's grandfather, Henry, which is your dad. And so by naming her some name starting with an H, we would do that. And I was thinking, I want something short. Ainsley is such like a big kind of name, the way it sounds to me, at least. And so we were sort of thinking about it. And Alec's grandmother, his bub, she helped come up with that. And so it's Ainsley Hope.
Which is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
What do you know now about being a mom that you didn't know when you were pregnant?
Oh, I take this question to sort of be asking me what I've learned, right? And so I was thinking about this, and I was thinking, well, it's really hard. Like it's hard to think of things I've learned because that means I have to be reflective. But I did come up with something that now I'm going to try to remember while I'm holding her. I was thinking, every day I get a reminder that human behavior, and more specifically our emotions, are so temporary. And so for her, there might be some evenings where I'm so tired. And we're trying to put her to bed. And we know she's so tired. And she's, fussy and she's upset and she's acting in certain ways and she's crying. And then very shortly after, she'll be super calm. Let's say she falls asleep, right? Or you give her that bottle and she's just so happy. And so just that shift of emotions and the expression of them just happens so quickly with her. And then, of course, with us as well, with me. And so it's a good reminder that when things are hard, when they feel painful and frustrating, it's not going to last much longer.
And what advice would you give to your daughter when she becomes a mother?
I would say to, be in the moment. I sort of have this sentence in my head that I don't know if it's the best way to describe it, but it's the only way that I can think of now. It's the idea that, like, in this moment, she, as my baby, is the most important one in the room. And not just in the room, in the house, on my street, in the city, and then larger than that, right? So if I have the news on and they're talking about things going on, she's still more important. And so I'm trying to give I would suggest for her as a mother one day to give her emotions, right? Her space and energy to the most important one in the room.
That's some really great advice, Angie, and great advice for everyone out there, that we focus on what's truly important in our life, right? And not be sidetracked by all the extraneous stuff going on.
And thank you for being part of our Mother's Day Festival. Welcome to the club.
Thank you for having me. Yes. Oh my goodness. Oh, and one more thing that I just want to mention. So, since we found out we were pregnant with her, that I was pregnant with her, the date happened to be May 12th. And that is now her special day. And so when I in the past, where Alec and I met, we met at work, and I happened to work with a wonderful woman who has 3 children. And she said that each of them had a special day. And on this special day every year for, the specific child, the parents and the child would go out and do whatever the child wanted to do. And that special day was the day that they found out they were pregnant with them. And so I just thought that was an awesome little tradition, And so now we just had her first special day, and I can't wait until she's older and she gets to really tell me what she wants to do.
What did she want to do yesterday?
Yesterday, she wanted to be held and take a walk outside and eat.
Hopefully she doesn't like designer shopping later on.
Mm-hmm. Well, of course she will. She's Alex's daughter.
Well, Angie, thank you for being on our special podcast today, and happy first Mother's Day.
Thank you so much. I love you guys.
We love you. We love you, Ainsley.
Love you, Ainsley.
Mwah.
And now on our special segment for Mother's Day, we welcome Joyce, my mother-in-law, and Jean's mother.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. Happy Mother's Day to you too.
Thank you. Happy Great Grandmother's Day.
Yes, and happy, I can't get it. Gemma?
Yep.
Happy Gemma Day to you.
Thanks.
Because Jean's going by Gemma instead of grandma.
Right, because Grandma's too old.
Grandma's too old.
I'm not
Okay.
that old yet.
All right.
So can you tell us the story of the very first time you found out you were pregnant?
The very first time? Oh my gosh, I wasn't thinking about that. Yes. Well, we were married 3 months, and Dad didn't think we were going to be able to have a baby. And then it was shortly after that I did the pregnancy test, and it was positive. So we were so excited, especially your dad.
Was it a home test or did you have to go to the doctor?
No, it was a home test.
Oh, they
And
had
then,
this.
and then I went to the doctor. Yeah,
Was he there when you found out, or did you tell him?
he was there.
Nice.
Yeah. Very anxious.
He is very anxious now.
And what about when you found out you were pregnant with me?
I'm thinking. I was surprised, but happy. And you were going to be our fourth child. And we had 3 children. Jeff was 5, Judy was 3, and Dan was 1. So we wanted a large family, so it was fine. We were happy.
What was surprising about it?
Well, because I was so busy with the 3, I didn't think it would be quite that close.
Were you surprised at the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th and 9th?
Well, we were the 7th, we thought, okay, we're happy with 7, right? And then 9 years later, I was really surprised when I got pregnant with Joe. But nonetheless, we were happy and excited. And I thought, oh, I'm going to be starting all over again.
But you did.
So we gathered our children and took them out for pizza and told them the good news. And before that, I went on a retreat that weekend to just to absorb it all. And the kids were really excited when we told them.
This was before your 8th.
This was for the 8th.
Or the 8th, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And did you tell everyone or tell anyone when Jean was born?
Oh,
or
yeah.
Not when she was born, but that you were pregnant with Jean?
Oh, yeah. We told everyone.
Did you wait or did you tell people right away?
We probably waited a couple of months, I think. Because that was kind of what you did then,
Do you remember who you told first?
Probably Nancy, my best friend. Because, yeah.
And how did you feel about being pregnant, just in general, the physical part of being pregnant?
I always felt good, except for the very first pregnancy was really tough, the morning sickness. And I think that was the worst part of it. Not being able to eat food, or certain foods just turned you upside down. Coffee and ground beef were the 2.
That's quite a combination.
Yeah, go
Sounds
figure.
good right now. And how did you know you were in labor with me?
Well, I'll tell you, we were at a party the night before for Susan, your cousin's birthday party. And we were there till 5 a.m.
Wow.
And we got home, went to bed. I was so tired. Woke up at 7 o'clock in labor. I can't believe this. So we got ready. We went to the hospital because the babies were coming pretty fast. And got to the hospital. And I'm trying to think, I'm not exactly sure exactly what time you were born.
11
If it was-
a.m.
I was just going to say 11. That's what I thought. And I tell you, you were the hardest labor of all my children.
Well, you had like 2 hours or less than 2 hours of sleep.
Exactly.
Why
And the
why
other-
do you think labors are harder for different people, different children?
Well, I think especially for you, it was because I had no sleep.
You were being
And the-
very irresponsible.
Well, that's your father's fault.
I believe it.
But I think another factor was I had just lost my dad a few weeks before that, and I was still grieving. So that didn't help either.
How old were you and Dad when I was born?
I was 24. So,
Dad was 26.
yeah,
And what was the how much did I weigh?
you were 7'12", 7 pounds, 12 ounces.
And
20,
who was your biggest baby?
my first 8 pounds, 14 ounces. So after that, it was pretty easy. So I didn't really labor that long with you, but the delivery was hard. Yeah.
That's how my kids were.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, Alec was born in 3 hours. Dean was born in an hour and a half.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Amazing.
And how did you decide on my name?
Well, that was the hardest thing for me, was naming you kids, because I didn't want to give them a name that they would hate. I just kind of kept more the common names. So, and I love the name Jean, and I thought Marie went really well with it. So that's how it happened. We both liked it, and here you are, Jean Marie.
What do you know now that you didn't know when you were pregnant for the first time? Like, did you think it was going to be a certain way and then you learned later it was different?
Well, with the first one, I wanted to have it natural. I didn't want any anesthesia and when it came right down to it, at that moment, they put the stuff over my nose and I was out like a light, and I was disappointed because I wanted to be there.
But it wasn't a cesarean.
No, it was, I don't know, gas is what they gave them. They just put it over my nose and I pumped right out. So, I mean,
Can you say that
I
again? That was a
wasn't
little messed up.
out long, and I don't even know why they did that. I said, I don't know why they put me out, because, the worst really was over. And I was disappointed because I wanted to be awake.
At what point did they do that? Did you already go through labor and you were in delivery, or?
I was in delivery. Thinking back, it probably was because they were going to use forceps.
Mm.
I forgot about that part of it. So.
And you were completely unconscious
At the birth, yeah.
Did they do that for any of your other kids and other deliveries?
No.
It just may have been
Thank
that's
God.
what they did back then.
Well, my doctor knew I didn't want to have anything. So that's what I'm thinking now, that maybe it was because of the forceps. I don't know.
Hmm.
They didn't really tell you stuff back then.
No. And the other thing they did for Jeff and Judy, just Jeff and Judy, you had to have an enema. And I did not like that.
Yeah.
You didn't have to have that. You did?
No. Mm-mm.
No. So they don't do that anymore.
No, they don't do anything unless they need to, I guess.
Right. Right. So, yeah.
Her bandwidth is really low.
Yeah. We're just going to take a second because you keep cutting in and out.
Really?
You're
Oh.
probably in a dead zone. We have real dead zones.
Is there anything I can do?
You know what?
No.
If you turn your camera off, probably that might help.
Turn my camera off.
Yeah, I'll do
He'll
it
do it.
for you.
Okay.
Don't worry about my list.
Well, I was going to ask that one question.
Well, let's wait for that for the end.
Okay.
What was your favorite experience of being a
So-
mom and your worst?
Pardon?
Your favorite experience of being a mother and your worst experience of being a mother.
Oh my gosh. There's so many. I don't know how to boil that down.
There's so many worse experiences.
No, so many wonderful experiences of being a mom.
Well, you could say a few of them.
Well, having breakfast in bed was always a unique thing.
Cooked by the kids.
By the kids, yes.
That must have been delicious.
It was because I didn't have to make it. Yeah. Oh, the time it was our anniversary, the kids made us a dinner and Jean made a cake. Unbeknown to me, I came home and there was a package in the garbage. I said, "Where's the cake?" She said, "I ate all the batter." They took the cake down to my friend Marie's house to surprise us. And they set up a table in our bedroom with music, Frank Sinatra music, and prepared a dinner for us and candlelight. It was such a blessing.
What did we cook?
You cook pork chops. I think that's what they found in the freezer.
That's
So,
funny.
yeah.
I remember that. I was probably in grade school though. What anniversary was that?
I don't even know what anniversary it was. I don't think it was a super marked anniversary.
I want to say I was maybe 7th or 8th grade. Because that's when I was on the swim team and you'd eat pudding. Just the packet without making the pudding. You just eat the sugar. So I think that's why I said I just ate it.
Yeah. So you were born at St. Francis Hospital in Evanston, Illinois. And I was in the hospital probably 3 days. And we brought you home on Thanksgiving Day. It was November 23rd. And Grandma stayed with the 3 other kids and prepared Thanksgiving dinner. And we had a house full of people.
Nice.
To welcome you home.
And to give thanks.
And to definitely give thanks. And another thing I want to share with you is that November 23rd, 1967.
66.
66. They
You-
declared Thanksgiving Day a day to celebrate throughout our country in
What?
unity. It was President Johnson.
So that year, 1966, they made it an official holiday.
Yes, on November 23rd.
Huh. I'm gonna have to look that up. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is you partied till 5 a.m, gave birth to me, and right out of the hospital, you came home and had another party.
Right. Right. But
Uh-huh.
I didn't prepare for it, so that was good.
So people might wonder why we like to throw so many parties.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it's set
Well,
up at birth.
That kind of explains it, huh? You night owl.
Or why your delivery is so punchy sometimes, huh? Get it? No. Okay, we move on.
Yes. Okay.
So what were some of your worst experience? Oh, you know what? I just wanted to say what's interesting also is that your grandson is getting married on Thanksgiving Day coming up.
And it's November
Right.
23rd.
And it's November 23rd.
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that. Wow.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Huh.
So what were some of your worst experiences as a mother?
The worst. Well, one time, and I don't remember actually what happened, but I was really upset with the kids. And I went in the living room and I pounded my foot on the table, and it went right through the table and made a hole in the table.
And we kept that
Wow.
table for another 15 years.
Right.
Because I don't remember you putting the hole in the table, but I remember the hole in the table.
Was this
Yeah.
a wooden table or a glass table?
It's like a coffee
Wooden.
table.
A wood
It was
table.
a wooden coffee table. Yeah.
And that was in the old house, and I was 7 when we moved in the new house, and we moved the coffee table.
So you made a cup holder. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, for sure.
That's really interesting because I don't really remember your anger very much.
No, I never really did get that angry. No.
Did you just find out you're pregnant again?
At that point, no. No, it wasn't about that. The kids were acting up. I don't remember what actually it was. But I just remember I was really frustrated.
I could imagine.
Yeah. But
I just looked it up. Lyndon Johnson declared Thanksgiving Day Thursday, November 24th, 1966.
oh,
Yeah, because I was born on a Sunday.
right.
So the 24th, that's right. But it was that year.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's the thing that people don't always understand is that everything had a beginning. We think
Right.
our traditions or what we do is the way life is, but we just started at some point and keep going.
Yeah, he just
Right.
declared the 4th Thursday of November to be
Right.
To be Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened before that? Did you have Thanksgiving?
Before
Before
you?
1966.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we usually always had Thanksgiving, especially our children made their first communion on Thanksgiving for
But
at St.
this would have been before anyone made their first communion.
Yes, this was.
So it was an unofficial holiday?
It was Thanksgiving. That's all it was. Yeah. And welcoming you home.
But before that, when you were a kid, did you celebrate Thanksgiving?
Oh yeah.
So
We
people
all-
celebrated it, just wasn't official.
Right.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, we always had turkey and dressing and
It is my favorite meal. I wonder why.
That's right. That's right.
uh,
What advice would you give to, well, I can't say your daughters, but maybe your granddaughters who are about to become a mother?
just to keep themselves healthy, exercise, eat good foods, and prepare themselves for their birth. You know, there's classes they can take. And I think that's important. I did the Lamaze method, and I think the more natural, I think the better, for the mother and for the baby, as long as there's no complications.
Did you have Lamaze with your first one?
I did.
Oh, that was around already.
And that's why I wanted to be there for the birth, right? So,
Was that difficult for you to recover from?
no, the difficulty though were the stitches. That was probably the second worst thing. Finding a comfortable place to sit.
What would you say to those mothers out there that may have gone through miscarriage or difficulty having children, infertility, and maybe struggled with, postpartum after the birth?
Well, I never really had any difficulties in those areas, but if I would have, I would recommend that they seek help, because there's a lot of help for postpartum depression. And I know Vicky, she struggled with that after Scott's birth, and she did get help. I can't even imagine going through in vitro. That has to be really, really a difficult journey. But, when your desires are to have a child, you do whatever it takes, right? So I give them a lot of credit.
Well, Joyce, we want to thank you for being on our special podcast today, celebrating Mother's Day.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I love speaking with you too.
And how many children do you have? How many grandchildren? How many great-grandchildren?
I have 9 children. I have 26 grandchildren, and I have 6 great-grandchildren, 5 boys and 1 girl that I just got to meet. She's beautiful.
Ainsley Hope. You'll hear about
Ainsley.
her later in this podcast.
Ainsley Hope, and I love her name.
Well, thank you again for being on our podcast. Love talking to you, Joyce, and we will see you soon.
Okay. Love you.
Happy Mother's Day.
Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. Love you.
Right. Love
Bye.
you.
Open link,
Yes.
launch meeting,
Launch meeting. There you are.
Zoom. Okay, connecting. Oh, let's see.
You gotta ask her to turn on her camera.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go back to email.
Just click on that link.
Your meeting has been launched. Don't say your Zoom meeting. By joining a meeting, you agree to our terms of service and privacy statement.
Yes.
Launch meeting.
Launch meeting.
Okay, I launch, and then it says that allow this site to open the Zoom link with Zoom meeting.
Yes.
Allow?
Allow.
Allow. I'll check that box.
Yes.
I'm connecting again. Okay, connecting. This meeting is being recorded by the host. Got it. So
Got it.
should I say got it?
Got it.
Okay.
So start video or no? I cannot hear you. Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay.
I can't see you. Why did you can't adjust your camera?
It will not go down.
Maybe you need some phone books to sit on.
Okay, there.
There we go.
Okay.
Happy Mother's Day.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Happy Mother's Day.
This is your 51st Mother's Day.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
51st Mother's Day.
Oh, yeah, because you're 50 years old, right?
Exactly right. Yes. So want to welcome you, Mom, to our special Mother's Day episode.
Okay.
Can you tell us the story of when you learned you were pregnant with him?
Oh, my gosh. I don't remember. I don't remember that.
Did you take a test? Did you throw up? How did you find out you were pregnant?
I stopped my period.
And that's how you knew?
And then I took a test, I think. Yeah.
Was that a home test or did you have to go to the doctor for that?
I forgot.
We went to doctor.
Uh-huh.
Were you there?
Yes, I was. And I was, and he told me, yes, she's pregnant.
And what did you each of you think at that moment?
Nothing, because before that, he had miscarriage. So we knew now, and the doctor told us, and then that was the beginning of your life.
Did you wait before you started telling people?
Did I wait?
There
Yeah.
were no people, you know. Who did we have? Nobody.
Your siblings, your parents?
No, only Faraman was there. We told Faraman I was working, and then yeah.
We were in the apartment.
So I came, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
How did you know you were in labor?
Mom, you don't know?
I don't remember. I think I just.
You didn't have contraction, you did. You forgot.
It's a long
Yes.
time ago. So yeah, I think so. And then we went to the hospital,
The Lutheran General.
Lutheran
Right,
General.
Lutheran General, yes.
And were you in the room for the delivery?
That one I don't remember. But it was at night. I think I was there, and was before midnight, I guess. So after she delivered, an hour or later, then I went home.
Did you tell anyone?
That one I don't remember I told anyone.
How did you feel?
I felt great. I felt that I brought another human being to this world, beautiful world. And
Was it a hard delivery or it was fast?
no, it wasn't hard. It was okay.
You don't remember.
Well, there was one you kicked him out. Remember that?
That was Mitra.
Yeah, that was.
Mitra,
What?
that I didn't want you there. But it was, I can't remember. Was I on a drip or no? For Ramin?
For Ramin, I don't know. I don't remember, but I was there. But for Mitra, I think I was at work. Faraman brought you to the hospital.
Yeah. No, don't talk about Mitra because we're talking about Ramin.
you're just saying him because he was in the country and the rest of your families were not in the country?
Oh, no, they were not.
We interviewed Joyce, and her first birth, they used gas.
Yes.
Yeah, they knocked her out during delivery. Did they do anything like that for any of your
No.
deliveries? No.
No, they just give me injection, right? They give me a shot.
Did you have an IV?
Yeah, you have an IV, but then
Or was a shot besides the IV, like in your back?
no, only when I was having the baby, then they decided to give me a shot.
So they didn't do epidurals then.
I think they did.
They did epidural, yeah.
Yeah, epidural, they did.
But you didn't need one.
I think I had.
And my mom's first birth was 1962.
Right.
Yours was 72. So
Right. It's 10 years.
10 years difference. Yeah. And you were born at 2:43 in the morning. Do you know how much he weighed?
No, I don't remember.
No.
6 something.
Mhm.
Oh, you were small.
6 something.
What was I, 8'12" or something like that?
Yeah.
Oh. How did you decide on his name?
We look at the Persian book, and then we look at names, and then we decided on Ramin because who she said it's a name of a king. Yeah.
No,
What?
a general of army of all the kings.
Yeah. Something.
And it was very common name that I like that. So we decided Ramin. Yeah.
So how come you didn't decide on a Filipino name and nickname?
Well, I think that mom wanted, was in love with me and so wanted to please me. So, and I know she's Filipino, but she adjusted to the Persian things.
Because
especially-
Ramin was kind of unique,
What?
different, a different name was unique.
Yeah, I said very famous.
So how was it adjusting to becoming parents?
I really don't remember, but I didn't feel it.
Because he was working all the time and I was by
know
myself.
I was working, but I didn't know. I mean, I didn't feel anything. I just went along. Well, along the way, we adjusted. We learned. I mean, I learned.
How long were you in the country before I was born?
Well, I came 66, 72. He was born, you were born, so 6 years.
What month in 66?
In 66, the end of June, that's the beginning of internship in Cook County, I came.
Okay. And Jean was born that November in 1966.
Oh, yeah.
And how long were you in this country, Mom, before I was born?
Well, I was here 1964, 65. No, 64. And then I went back to the Philippines after 1968, right? Because I have to stay here with my
No,
my visa. I have to leave the country because I was on a student.
right.
I was on a student something visa, and then I have to leave the country. So I left 1968. I came 60.
How long were you in Cook County?
It was 1 year.
You were in Cook County 1 year?
Yeah.
That was the time that we met in Cook County Hospital. Ward 35, that was internal medicine. And that was the time that she threw arrow to my heart. And then that was the time that I was captured by her.
Oh
and
gosh. Yeah. Anyway, I stayed for 1.5 years here, and then I have to go back to Philippines. So I went to Canada. I stayed there for another 1.5 years until my immigration was
we
approved.
were in contact when she was in Canada. Sometimes when she would take off on weekends, she would come over here and then going back. But she was very, very slow. And then gradually captured my heart. I saw a cake and champagne. She had told, her brother was here, Oli. She had told Oli to bring me for my birthday that champagne and cake. So I was surprised. There was no name. I was surprised. And then later she found out, I mean, she wrote me and I found out that she, but you see, from Philippines that far, she would not let it go. She would not let it go, and she would pull the string to the arrow that she had in my heart.
What is your favorite memory of being parents, and what is some of your worst memories of being parents?
Specifically about motherhood. This
Yes.
is Mother's Day special.
Yeah, she did burst. So anyway, it was great. I loved it. But the thing is, it was easy because I know how to take care of babies.
What about after they're a baby?
After they were a baby, it was nice. He was a naughty boy because he had a friend that we were in where we moved to Arlington Heights, and then our neighbor we had a neighbor who was his age.
No, that was the time. No, don't jump ahead, just little by little. So while she would come, and then I think we were courting, we were dating.
When are you going there? We
Not so
talking
many.
about Mother's Day.
I know that. Before
God.
that,
Who was your hardest baby?
Hardest baby.
Yeah.
Well, at first you were crying because we didn't know you were allergic to formula because you were lactose intolerant. We're talking about Mother's Day, don't include the other stuff. So, and then, yeah, but you were colicky, but I know how to treat colicky babies. I put you on her tummy. It was not hard. Yeah. So I adjusted very well because I was a nurse, so it was not hard for me.
What advice would you give your granddaughters about becoming mothers?
That just it's nice. Just do your work and love them and sing to them, hold them, and let them I remember when we were in Kennecott, I would let them go in the garden and play in the mud. And then also I put the playpen outside while I'm cooking. I can see while I'm cooking. I put the playpen outside and they are outside in the yard with the sun and playing there, and they have good time there in the sun.
the advice that she would give them is that just listen. The advice,
Listen to what?
What advice would she give?
okay, the advice that she gives them is that know what you want. If you really want a baby to become mother, go for it and decide. That's she did. She wanted to become pregnant and become a mother. She knew what she was doing. The one that didn't know what was happening, it was me, that I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah, you were not there.
Just let me finish. So she knew what she wanted, and then when we were in an apartment in Kenmore in Chicago at that time. See me.
We went in
Just
a
a
one
minute.
bedroom.
Just a
Why
minute.
are you mixing
I
that
know,
with
I'm just
Mother's
going
Day?
there. I'm going,
Mother's Day, and then you are talking
I'm
about
going
that.
there.
Jeez.
going there. So she
You
would,
are editing this. I'm not.
in the December, she,
We are talking about Mother's Day,
okay,
and baby.
I'm
Why
not
are you
going
talking
there.
about that?
I'm going there.
You're not going there.
And then that time she said, marry me.
Ah,
Just a minute. And he said, I remember.
no.
You don't remember.
You're interfering.
So,
This is nice stuff. Why are you doing?
so, and then that was the history.
Yeah, you got engaged on Valentine's Day.
Right.
So back to Mother's
We are
Day.
doing Mother's Day. We're
Okay.
not doing like couples therapy. Jeez.
Okay, back to Mother's Day.
Yeah,
You're not the mother now.
you'll have your chance in a month.
Yeah, you have your chance in July and June. And then we were living in the apartment, and I had you there, and then it was getting like we need space. So that's why we bought this house in Arlington Heights.
Router.
Right. And it was good because we have space there. And I didn't drive, so I have to like go to the grocery. I put you on the umbrella stroller. At the time, our stroller were like umbrella stroller. And I would go every day to the store to buy stuff. Every day I would, go grocery, and then, yeah, it was nice. It was not hard for me. And because like your dad was working all the time, and I was working until my full term. I was working until full term, and then when I was 7-8 months pregnant, 9, I didn't return to work after I delivered. So it was good that I didn't have to work and stay home and do everything at home because your dad was working the whole time. Ramin was naughty. I would be gardening, and one day I found out he was not there, and I said, oh my God, where did the boy went? And I saw him on top of the roof of the garage.
How old was he?
Probably 3. And then one time he locked me out, I went to put the garbage out, and he was inside, and he locked me out. He put the door locked. He knows how to do it. And I said, open it. He wouldn't open it. So my neighbor helped me. He got the ladder, and he climbed the window, and we were able to open one of the window, and he got in, and we were able to open the door because he locked it. He locked me out. Yeah. Yeah, he was a naughty boy. He was like playing with the neighbor, and he would dug up the grass, like, like a turf, to put the grass how they put your turf. So they dug it up just like that, both of them, the neighbor. I forgot his name. And then they would go to beside the window, close to the hedges. They would hide there, and they will pick up all the cigarette butts. And they would be like smoking there and stuff. But trying to dig, forgot his name. They were,
I know what she's talking about.
no, it wasn't my clock. My clock was in, this one was in Router.
Yeah,
My-
Luther.
It wasn't your cousin, was it?
No, it was the PBL. The gosh, what's his last name?
Danny.
He lived- huh?
Danny.
Danny, yeah. They live in the cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder where he is now. Yeah.
Right.
Just being boys.
Probably in
like
jail. No, anyway. Well, Bob, thank you for being on our podcast today. Happy Mother's Day.
And Dad, because
And Dad, happy Mother's Day.
if you could see the video, you only see your dad's feet. He's like a witness, a silent witness. Secret.
Okay, thank you. And I love you guys. I love being your mom. It was my best time of my life.
Well, thanks, Mom.
And congratulations, grandma and great grandma now.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, being a mom is nice. Yeah, it's not like a burden. It's a blessing.
Well, love you, Mom. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
Happy Mother's
Happy
Day.
Mother's
Love
Day.
you.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
And so we want to thank you for joining us today on a special episode of Couple Synergy for Mother's Day. Our passion is in helping couples and people have happy and healthy relationships. And this podcast gives us a fun way of bringing our knowledge and expertise to you, our listeners.
Yeah, I just want to say it's really fun to be able to share in a different way and for people to get a little glimpse into our history. And I hope you guys enjoyed it and enjoyed our parents.
Yeah,
And
I
daughter-in-law.
hope you did. For all of you listening, please let us know how you enjoyed the show. If you have any questions, comments, or topic suggestions, please email us at contact@couplesynergy.com. For more information about Couple Synergy and our programs such as Relationship 101, the Home Study Course, the Couples Enhancement Weekend, and our premier coaching program called Couple to Couple, look us up online at couplesynergy.com.
You know, we talk a lot about social media, and I just like to say we'd like to have a more personal relationship. So email us and or send us a message on Facebook.
Until next time, synergize your life and synergize your love.
You have been listening to Couple Synergy with Dr. Ray and Jean Ketkodian. Couple Synergy was recorded, edited, and produced by Dr. Ray and Jean Ketkodian. Voiceover and music entitled Breathe and Let Go was recorded and composed by Gina Gonzalez.